Rich Griffith was a football standout, starting for the Arizona Wildcats and ultimately being drafted in the NFL. And now, as the CEO of Global Action, Rich will be speaking at Shiloh Christian Church tomorrow on Sunday, November 23rd. And we're excited to have Rich on this episode of Someone You Should Know with Jeff Davenport, brought to you by the Ed Morse Automotive Group. Sierra Vista and Cochise County are backed by Morse. Rich, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today. Man, it's awesome to meet you. Would love to, before we talk about what you're going to be doing tomorrow at Shiloh on November 23rd, let's just talk about your history here with Cochise County and Southern Arizona. Where did you grow up and where'd you go to high school?
Grew up in Tucson, Arizona.
I've heard of that. I've heard of that place.
Catalina. Now, this is the Catalina in the middle of the city, not the foothills, but Catalina Trojans. Kind of had a challenging career. We lost every football game. And so it did a lot for how much do I really like the game of football, and was I willing to be committed? But I do say it gave me a fire within me. I love this game. And it kind of just really began to seed this heart of there's valleys and there's success. And are you willing to put the effort in? And then, as you shared, I was able to get a full ride scholarship to the University of Arizona. So good things can happen from a really tough beginning, so to speak. But here in Cochise County, Buena High, we had some incredible rivalries. And you had the bus ride here, and it was like this on the way of, are you getting your game face on? Football, they had our number. Basketball was a coin flip. We would have some incredible and sometimes even down to the wire games in basketball. And I loved it because it pulled out so much of that competition. That's why you're in sports. You love the team. Yeah. You love striving for something bigger than yourself, but also getting the best out of yourself. But then you love to see when the game is on the line, can you be playing some of your best ball? I experienced that here at Buena High.
Yeah, even playing against the Colts. So how many sports did you play? Obviously multi-sport.
So I was football, basketball, and track.
What did you do in track?
I wasn't the fastest, but I loved it because I did the hurdles. Okay. And it was a challenge, but I loved working on my speed. I'm a slower white person that just is not the best at speed, but if you work at something, you can begin to get a lot better at it. So being a tall guy and a tight end, I played most of my career about 255 area. And so I was always working on speed. Track gave me that speed and that conditioning level.
Interesting to be able to refine those tools that you already had built in you, but to make just the minor adjustments, because when I'd say the difference between a really good high school athlete and then one that is able to excel in college, it is just minor tweaks along the way. Yeah. And it's small differences, but those differences end up paying off in big ways. Let's 100%. Talk about the decision that you had to go to U of A. Obviously, being a Tucson kid, that's going to be the school. And that was during U of A's really, they started to ramp up in the pre-Desert Swarm era, for those who remember that, and being able to build up into that. You had offers probably from other places as well. Why did you choose U of A?
Most of the Pac-10 schools, which are some phenomenal schools. I was really high on UCLA and just playing at the Rose Bowl Stadium. I mean, what a privilege that could be. I was given offers from Iowa and Nebraska, but I visited on my official visit in the dead of winter. I'm a Tucson boy. I'd hardly seen snow before except from Mount Lemmon. And I visited and I'm like, I'm not going to somewhere there's snow and it's this cold. And then also the privilege of my friends and my family, the people that I know here in Tucson, I want to play for my home team. And that just began to just burn within me. Every opportunity I still have, if I want to play a post-career going to the NFL, I can do it right here at the University of Arizona. And plus, I don't have to travel anywhere. So I can truly train here year-round and begin to see what can take place. And it worked out for me.
Was that the vision to know that you excelled so much in high school and getting those opportunities and those offers? was the NFL always on your roadmap?
I think most athletes at least have the physical prowess as well as the size, and I had both of those. It's burned within you to be able to always make the next level. I mean, think about it, from those little Pop Warner days, and you can't wait to have your eyes on that next level. And in Pop Warner, then the junior high, and then the high schoolers, and then maybe one day I could make it to college. And then just maybe one day I could make it to professional. I think every little kid has that dream. And wearing a big jersey that doesn't fit and growing into this jersey, that was my dream. And it started off, like I said, with a very meager beginning, losing most of my games. But having a dream to be able to play this for a career, it was seeded.
Obviously, you had encouragement in being able to stay at home while playing in your hometown in college. What did your parents do for a living?
My dad worked for the university.
Oh, okay.
And then my mom was a school teacher at a local school in town as well. So just really grounded. Faith was a big part of our life, and being a part of a church here in town. And so that all encapsulated in a heart for, and I'm still wearing today. I got to show you this. Look, Arizona. I didn't even remember. I didn't know we were going to do that. But
come on.
But I just had a heart for the home team, and there was something about it. I mean, it's a fun stadium to play into. Great competition. Have had some amazing teams from basketball, and obviously Lute Olson era, and even women's softball, the Kendrea era.
Dominant.
Swimming with the Frank Bush. I mean, just amazing competition. And so I wanted to be a part of that and be able to, and hear this, contribute. I'm not a one-man team. Be able to contribute to my local university. And that worked out for me. And I loved it. And it was just a blessing.
When did you graduate? So what year? What did you graduate?
So it was officially 1990. My last football season was 92, graduated 93, also drafted in 1993.
And that's the next step where we're going with this. So you finished that, that career at U of A, draft day, 1993. Obviously, nowadays, the draft, it's an entire, it's weeks. It just takes forever, and people watch it all the time. What was your draft experience like? And ultimately, going in the 5th round, being drafted, that's awesome. I mean, that's absolutely amazing.
I was speechless.
Yeah.
Especially, I had a serious knee injury. I tore my ACL my junior year, and that was a pivotal year for a lot of athletes, because scouts are seeing who's the senior draft class, if you will, and what type of players are coming up. And so I got off I was not on their list. I was injured. Came back from my ACL, had a solid senior year, not a lights out by any means, but I showed my ACL was completely healed and had a solid year. And that was, again, that stepping stone of us starting the Desert Swarm era. We went to the El Paso Sun Bowl.
Nice.
And so we had success that year, but I was not supposed to be drafted, and I would be what they call a sleeper. I wasn't invited to the combine, which is where they have all the tryouts, but I did have some tryouts at the University of Arizona. Some of the pro scouts came, and I did really well.
So a pro day at U of A,
At U of A.
for the scouts to come in and see you, and some from New England ended up seeing you.
I was able to put up some really good numbers. A number of teams even flew me out to see me before the draft.
Oh, okay.
And so I'm like, maybe, just maybe, I'll have a chance to play at this next level. And there's never a guarantee. But as an athlete, you just want a chance. And so to be able to have that opportunity, long story short, Bill Parcells on draft day. This is the second day. First day was round 1 and partially of round 2. And then second day, round 3, 4, and 5, Bill Parcells calls me up, and this is before cell phones.
Right.
And so we had a pager just in case someone needed to get in touch with you. You could have a pager.
And you're at your house.
And we're at the house. No one else around me, because I wasn't expecting much. But you have your phone line and you're next to your phone. And all of a sudden the phone rings. And it's Bill Parcells on the line. And he says, would you like to play for the Patriots? And you get this grin, and you're like, I would love to play for the Patriots.
Like, how cold does it get there? No, I want to go play for Miami. No,
it was just, wow. It was your life from literally those Pop Warner days, high school, college, and now all of a sudden a chance to play. And I said yes.
For one of the greatest coaches of all time.
Yes.
And so the New England Patriots that year, they had the number 1 pick in the draft. Did they not?
Yes, they did.
And who did they?
A gentleman I had played against numerous times. He was a part of the Pac-10. Drew Bledsoe with the Washington State Cougars. And again, I knew them well, had played in their stadium. An incredible athlete.
And you knew how good he was.
Knew how good. So he was the first round and the first pick of that draft, a contract of $10 million. And that was unheard of. The NFL had never given any guaranteed money like that to any player. I was a 5th rounder, so I was guaranteed a $100,000 check. And I'm like 23 years of age. Really? This is awesome. And then you start to think about it. Wow, he's $9 million, $900,000 better than me. But that's okay. We're on the same team together. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, that's my quarterback, and I'm going to protect him with my life, and we're going to be a team together. In fact, that first year, he was my roommate and just a great guy. As a quarterback, he's 6'5". He was about 225, 230 pounds. I was 6'5", 255. But he's a big quarterback, and he could handle some big guys coming at him. But an incredible, accurate thrower, and it was just fun to begin my career with him.
So you end up starting your career there in New England, and then for those of you who follow the NFL and you know, expansion hits the NFL. Expansion draft, windows open for each team. And how did
Bill
that work?
Parcells came to me and says, Rich, you've done everything I've asked you to do. I'm building a team. NFL in '93 was the worst team in the NFL. And just a horrible losing. Their stadium, University of Arizona stadium and facilities were better than New England. It was incredible. But he said, Rich, I've got to let you go. And so that was one of those devastating pieces. I already have 2 other tight ends. You're my 3rd guy out right now. You're young. I need more defense. And says, I'm letting you go. As you said, the expansion of 2 new teams, Jacksonville Jaguars, Carolina Panthers, and I was invited to be a part of the Jaguars. And so they brought me in the end of the 94 season, then started with them 95 and spent 6 years with them. And that was almost like finding my sweet spot. And Tom Coughlin was our quarterback. Mark Brunell was our quarterback. And another Washington.
Tom Coughlin was the head coach.
Head coach Tom Coughlin. Also coached with Parcells at Boston College or at the Giants, then went on to Boston College and to the Jaguars.
Being part of an expansion franchise, though, you think about, in Major League Baseball, the Diamondbacks, when expansion hit Phoenix and the Diamondbacks started in 1997, hey, they won a World Series in 2001. Yeah. Well, did you have those things in your mind about, wow, I'm going to be here on the ground level to build this future, hopefully great team?
The amazing thing, the NFL changed how they did new teams. And so they gave us extra training camp. So, oh boy, we got, instead of 4 weeks of training camp, we got 6 weeks. Well, Tom Coughlin used every bit of that. And I swear he's taken some years off my life. But we took advantage of that. But also the difference was this expansion draft. So they were able to get some pretty good and very competitive players. We built a team within a couple years that had instant success. So 95 was our beginning. 96, we're already in the AFC Championship game.
Right. You remember that? Yeah.
In fact, my host here at the Ramsey Canyon Inn, he's a Buffalo Bill fan. And
that means you'll have to speak slower. I'm sorry. That means I'm sorry.
1996, we knocked the Buffalo Bills out of the playoffs in Bills Stadium. I've never heard a stadium so quiet. And yet it was incredible. We did the same to the Denver Broncos. John Elway says the worst loss of his career, 1996. Then we're back to my old team, in the AFC Championship in New England, Bill Parcells, and I think our luck had finally run out, and we did not beat the Patriots. They went on to play the Green Bay Packers and lost to Green Bay in the Super Bowl. But instant success, and really a year and a half into our inception, we're already in the AFC Championship. Well, also the Carolina Panthers were in the NFC side. And so two of the teams, the NFL did a phenomenal job of putting them in great competitive nature. And then 3 years later, 1999, Jaguars had the best record in the NFL. 14 wins, 2 losses. And just, we are on such a momentum, and it was just fun as a team to see, again, the success, and you see the rally of your local Jacksonville, Florida, all the fans behind you. It was truly just a force. It was also just fun to represent something bigger than yourself. You're representing a community. And we see that sports has so many positive elements, but again, that this is truly a community effort. Yes, we're the ones on the field, but we're representing a pretty amazing community. And so I love that. And Jacksonville, again, being a newer team, we were able to bring a lot of pride to Jacksonville, Florida. So our 2 losses were to the Tennessee Titans. I'm being very transparent with you right now. So play Miami, home field advantage, beat Miami, scored offense, defense, special teams. Dan Marino took himself out of the game in the fourth quarter, said, my career is over. We played with Dan Marino's last game. And then we're playing the Tennessee Titans for the 3rd time. Home field advantage. Now, if you're a Vegas guy, we have all the betting now that takes place. You're saying, oh, man, there's no way one team is going
to beat you 3 times.
3 times.
Never going to happen.
Never. And so it's probably in Trivial Pursuit somewhere that Jacksonville lost to one team 3 different times that year. And they went on to the Super Bowl. They played Kurt Warner when he came out and with the Rams.
Yep.
And of course, as you'd say, the history. So we've knocked twice on the door of AFC championships. You're right, a game away from the Super Bowl. But again, some phenomenal memories of just what it took, but also how hard it is. You think, well, these teams are great and they just kind of step in to the Super Bowl. It is so hard to win at that level.
Yeah. And
to be able to have that trajectory for a long time was incredible and just great to be a part of. And to try to, I would say God kept me humble by not having this huge ring on my hand and kind of led me into ministry after my football career. With some great memories.
And we'll weave our way there. I enjoy hearing stories from athletes who have excelled at the highest possible levels. I get the honor of interviewing even high school athletes who are looking at the next level, much less college athletes and professionals. So along the way, who would you say along the way are your biggest inspirations or mentors on your athletic journey? Obviously, you have your education side as well when you get your degree from college that, as an athlete, well, I'll fall back on that eventually. But, who were those mentors and what was some of the best advice that they gave you on the athletic journey side of your journey?
Now, I'm an older guy, so you're making me dig down deep here. I loved, even though I was a tight end in high school and offensive lineman for most of my career, just because I was big, Walter Payton.
Well, I've heard of him.
I love how he played the game. Obviously, Chicago Bears, phenomenal athlete, just how he played the game, but his character in the game. And I would also say a strong faith in the game as well. But I'll never forget just his influence of how he would train. He did so well in games, but to me, his success was his off season. And I took that so much to heart. He used to show videos of him running up this side of this dirt incline, and it's rocks are kind of sliding, and it's dirty, and it's muddy, and he's literally scrambling. And it took him 45 seconds to a minute to get to this top. And it was just all effort. And if you let down at all. You're slipping back. And so it was just that constant drive. For some reason, that was instilled in me. And not that I was at all any level to a Walter Payton, but I loved his work ethic. And I was given an athletic ability. I believe God gave me an ability. So how am I using that? And I don't care if you're a junior high or a high schooler, you're a college level, as long as you're giving every bit of effort. That's our responsibility. In my opinion, we're given a talent, but our responsibility comes, are you willing to give it all? Are you willing to lay that, as they would say, on the field, or are you willing to give it all in your preparation? And that's mind. Are we willing to prepare the mental side, but also the physical side? And then to overcome the obstacle side. You know, there's so many different facets. But that's where, and I'm sorry, Jeff, that's where faith also comes into so much of this. Because are we willing to do the same in our faith? Not working our faith, but are we willing to trust God with every part of our life? There's so many things that I still want to control, or I still want to keep on my terms. And yet, am I willing to truly trust God with my life and give Him my all? It's hard to do. I'm a pastor. That's why I think I am a pastor, because I'm passionate about that, but I also think I'm the one that needs the most work. And every day is a constant reminder, Rich, trust me. Rich, give me your all. Just give me every fiber of your being, and I will begin to work through you. That's some of the things we're going to be talking about at Shiloh tomorrow, Sunday. What's the date again?
November 23rd. It'll be
23rd, tomorrow.
Right. Tomorrow.
There's a service at 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. There's also an online opportunity.
His name's on the marquee. It's right there. It's right in my neighborhood. I drove right by it. I was like, I'm going to talk to Rich. This is so cool.
But so much of our lives is about not living perfect lives, but about our influence. And that's where athletes are so influential, that spectrum of influence. But what is their message? Well, the same in our Christian faith. We're influencers, but who are we influencing? Reggie White would say this, the greatest defensive player of the game. He was called the minister of defense, just a strong follower of Christ, but he played the game with passion. And he said, my standards should be higher because of who I represent. He says, if I'm representing my faith and my relationship with God, then man, my standards are higher than coaches. My standards are higher than the fans. I want to give my all because I'm representing God. And so again, that's not a legalistic thing. It's just a mindset that we're influencers and people are watching us. And if our world has a lot of areas that lack hope, well, then how is our life demonstrating a life of hope? How is our life demonstrating a life of seeking after someone much greater than me? And one that loves me unconditionally. That's what I want people to see. And so how is my life demonstrating that? We're going to unpack some of that tomorrow at Shiloh, Sunday morning.
That'll be amazing. And, you kind of answered my next question, which was about how your athletic career prepared you for your post-career life. There are certain things that all of us, the athletes that I interview, one of the questions, at least the coaches that I talk to, I say, hey, look, there will come an end to dribbling the ball, to catching the pass, to blocking, to running for the touchdowns. Those days will come to an end. What are those intangible things that as a coach you are able to train these young men and women for whatever the sport is that will last them the rest of their lives? How do you see your athletic career going from high school with the challenges there to U of A, excelling there, even past the ACL tear, and then going on to the NFL? What were those? I mean, you kind of just explained all those lessons that you learned along the way that led to this post-career life, and then we'll talk about global action.
And there are so many. We could talk for a long time about just qualities that you gain from athletics, but also in growing and maturing as an athlete, but also just as a man and a man of faith. We're constantly being challenged. It's perspective. We can begin to gain the perspective that, well, I'm having success. I'm the man. But look at the perspective of, well, who gave me this ability? Who has provided this opportunity? Perspective of, well, then I have a responsibility. Perspective is a huge word to me, especially now as I retired from the NFL and this high intensity, very influential game, very self-oriented game, to now being a pastor, which is kind of the flip side, a little bit more of a position of humility, but also one that could be just as prideful because you're in front of people just the same way. Perspective. God, I'm doing this because this is what you have asked me to do. Am I willing to be faithful and obedient to what you're calling me to do? That's in every realm. You may work for the Unified School District, wherever that may be. You may be a nurse or a doctor. You may work with your hands in electrical, plumbing. We have a responsibility and an obedience to do what God has asked us to do. How's that playing out in your everyday? It's all about perspective. Is it my will and my perspective, or is it God's will and his perspective and purpose for your life? So that word has just resonated in me. I'm not perfect at it. That's something that is just resonating in me. My perspective is less about me and more about him.
So growing up in a family of faith, once you had the NFL career done, was it a transition right into the ministry? Were you like an associate pastor somewhere?
Jeff, why did you ask this question?
It's not even on my list.
Because I said I would never be a pastor.
See?
And I think our heart already knows what we need or what we are headed into, and we're just afraid.
And how did the opportunity come about, though, that the Lord put on your heart to
God,
be able to...
And it's back to that influence and that understanding my purpose. And faith, again, was such a strong part of my career. This is even before Tim Tebow. And praying, we used to pray in the middle of the field with both teams after the game. It was incredible. And guys would come to me. They would tear their ACL or they're getting ready to get cut from a team. And would you pray for me? I mean, and so there were so many opportunities, not in a very overt way, but just guys would come and you would be approachable and saying, man, I'm doing everything that says I'm supposed to be happy, and yet I'm not happy. This is not fulfilling this career like I thought it would. And yet you have a different perspective. And so those things were just always opportunities, but that's just real life opportunities. And again, is in our everyday, and are we willing to have the eyes or the lens to say, my life is a reflection of my faith, not perfect, but how is God working through me to be a witness or as I like to call it, an ambassador for Christ, which is a representative of Christ. Just as someone is an ambassador to the U.S., we're representing this country. Well, we're representing our faith in God. And how are we doing that and unveiling that through everyday life experiences? When you have a car accident, yet God's working in and through that. When you have a physical injury, God's working in and through that. When you're having kid issues and relationship issues, God is working in and through every bit of that. Now I'm preaching, and I'm so sorry.
It's good. Love it. Love it. And again, these are some of the things you'll be talking about at Shiloh tomorrow. Do you pastor at a home church like that you have, or are you kind of traveling with Global Action?
So I'm with Global Action this weekend. I've never been a senior pastor.
Okay.
I've always known God wanted me to be a part of the church, and so I've been more a part of specific ministries. I was a men's pastor at a larger church for 9 years. Loved that, and just being able to encourage men in their faith, but also in their married relationship, in their relationship with their kids, in their job or vocation. And then as churches are having today, many are having what they call multiple campuses and satellite campuses. I've done a number of church opportunities with being a campus pastor. And that's what I love about that pastoral role, is being with the people. And I would say in some ways, God protected me from always having to teach on a weekend, and I got to be with the people, which is what I love. I'm very relational, and I love to walk with the body of Christ. As they would say, a pastor is a shepherd. How much do they smell like sheep? Well, I want to make sure I smell like sheep, because that's where in our faith, the rubber meets the road, not just on Sunday, but where's it being unveiled on Monday through Friday, Monday through Saturday, that our faith is real to everyday life. That's what I want to be engaged with. That's where we rub shoulders, as the scriptures say, iron sharpens iron. You're helping me as much as I'm walking with you. I mean, it's a dual, both and, but that's the body of Christ. And that's something that I love and cherish. So,
how did Global Action come into play for you? Where were you when you found out about them, and how did you get involved in Global Action? And what do they do? What is Global Action?
So I was at a ministry in Colorado Springs for 16 years, and we used to do mission trips with Global Action. That's where they were kind of birthed 27 years ago. Did a lot in Ukraine with some orphanage type ministry. Unfortunately, that's where Russia is right now. It was on the Black Sea. So that's how Global Action started. But they began to see, just through a lot of relationships throughout the world that they had, was what's the greatest need, and what would our ministry, Global Action, be able to do to meet that need? We've always been linked with a number of pastors, and the need was pastoral training. Most of global pastors around the world have had no formal training. And so this is becoming a very big problem within the global church. Bibles are being handed out. They say in 2033, every known language will have at least a New Testament John.
Wow.
Which is incredible.
Yeah.
That is so encouraging. Well, that's right around the corner. Bibles are being handed out. People are coming to faith. The problem is we don't have enough people to disciple or to lead healthy churches. And so there's lots of pastors standing in pulpits, but they've had no formal training, and they're doing it just on a wing and a prayer. And I say that really respectfully. They're just trying to pray and do the best they can, but they're starved to have any type of formal training. Many have only had a 6th or 8th grade education, and so they cannot even get into a seminary, if you will. Many obviously could not afford it. And then there's so many that are in some remote areas. They're 8-10 hours from the nearest city that would have a seminary or a formal training. And so our ministry, Global Action, comes in, steps in that gap, provides in the curriculum, our curriculum in their language, because that is so much better for their retention is when they have it in their home language. And then we also do it with a faculty that is in that region that have been seminary trained and that have had the theological background with the cultural context. We teach differently in Central South America than we do in Africa. Culturally context. Africa differently than India. Cultural context. And so different religions, and how do you, again, be relevant culturally? So we want these pastors to be kind of poured into in a very relational way, and for them to receive but also retain the foundations of our faith. So in a sense, it's like a year of Bible college, but at their level. We call it non-formal theological training because it's not a formal theological seminary degree, but they're gaining the knowledge base that they need. And we're seeing the church thrive. Friends, I mean, I get excited. In Africa, there's regions where 50,000 new believers are coming to faith every day. Africa is the fastest growing continent right now. They have the most incredible opportunities for commerce and for growth of business. What they lack are trained leaders. To disciple 50,000 new believers, you need 1,000 pastors every day.
And how interesting that the greatest persecution of the church right now is going on in Africa.
Yeah. The light versus darkness.
Right.
Absolutely. So our again, dream is to be able to equip more leaders to be able to do the work of ministry. It's a problem, and we're doing everything we can to address that problem.
Well, it's unbelievable. And for more information about Global Action, we put the website in the post description so you can learn more about that. But you can also meet Rich Griffith tomorrow, Sunday, November 23rd at Shiloh Christian Church at 1519 Avenida Del Sol. That address is also in the post description. You can go there, see him speak at both services tomorrow morning. And again, what will be the topic that you're looking at or the the words that you're going to be, the
We're
overview.
unpacking that word, influencers. We are all influencers for Jesus Christ. What is God asking of you, but more importantly, prompting you to take a step of faith in? Be an influencer.
And you can see that message tomorrow morning. November 23rd, Shiloh Christian Church at 1519 Avenida Del Sol. Make sure you stop by or check them out online, because they stream their services online, and learn more about Rich and the ministry that he does through Global Action online as well. Rich, this is a real blessing to be here with you today at the Ramsey Canyon Inn. Thanks to the Ramsey Canyon Inn for letting us hang out here. And thank you so much for watching Someone You Should Know. Rich is definitely someone you should know, and you can get to know him tomorrow morning. Someone You Should Know with Jeff Davenport, brought to you by our good friends at the Morse Automotive Group. Sierra Vista and Cochise County are backed by Morse. What influences you, and how are you being an influencer? You can find out more about that tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., 11 a.m. over at Shiloh Christian Church in Sierra Vista. See this man right here. You know, when I met Rich, I said, wow, this is the difference between NAIA college football and NCAA college football right here. But we still play, I still play college football too, you know, but no, it's awesome to meet you. Thank you so much for your time. And again, thank you to the good folks here at Ramsey Canyon Inn for letting us stop by and see you, and definitely admire your work, and so grateful to meet you today. And thank you so much for your time. And thank you guys for watching. Thank you for sharing, and have a great day, everybody. We will check in with you again later on. Absolutely awesome, man. This is great.